can you stay tuned into yourself, making sure that you're present, flexible, enjoying the holiday season? And if you kind of get dysregulated or flustered, or you can start to feel emotions increase on that scale, how do you then share it with your partner, let your partner in? How do you take help from your partner during that? Connecting couples through the holiday season with the Real Emhoffs.
Hi, I'm Chad Emhoff.
And I'm Angela Emhoff, and we're excited to bring you this special series on staying connected through the holiday season. Man, I don't know about you, but for us, when the holiday season hits, we hit the ground running, and it just seems like a non-stop pace until the new year. And so what we want to do is bring a very practical series to you. And over the next 6 episodes, we're going to talk about family of origin rules, holiday stress, attachment injuries. We're really going to dive in, similar to what we do where we give you a connect point, where we talk about how to stay connected during the holidays. And so let's just dive in.
Yeah, I mean, I think the holidays can be so tricky, and it's such a great time. I think I enjoy holidays my whole life. I've thought, hey, Christmas is something special. I remember traveling with my family and going to see my grandma and that sort of thing, and being up and not being able to sleep. I'm one of these people that's really excited about gifts, and I get all fired up. I remember being a kid.
He has a hard time waiting to open the gift.
It's hard for me. I remember waking up like at 4 a.m. and I'm not really a morning person, and like going downstairs and looking for the toys, and Santa has come and all those sorts of things. So holidays have always been exciting for me. They've always been a fun time for me. And we'll talk a lot about family tradition and that sort of thing. But for me, I think holidays also become this like season where we get so much energy and we get so much kind of drive. And I know that like individually, I know what I like in the holiday season, but I know as a couple, when we got married, there were some things that we really kind of had to adjust, and it really became a challenging time for a few seasons. And so holidays are something that I think we need to talk about when we're married and kind of make plans for.
I kind of agree. Growing up for me, holidays were really exciting. I know my family, especially my dad, just loved just the nostalgic thing like the eggnog and opening gifts, and we always decorated the house and the tree. And as I got older, and definitely, you couple and you start to try to merge your family traditions with my family traditions, it can really get kind of bumpy and sticky. And I know that now that I'm a mom and a wife and we have our own holiday plans, sometimes I feel like it just gets missed and I'm just like holding on through the season. So what we want to do in this first episode is just really talk about a holiday strategy where you as a couple can have a conversation about what you want your holiday to look like, so you don't get hijacked by it, and at the end of it just feel like you need a vacation from your vacation.
Yeah, I think in this first series or first episode, we want to really think about like, and kind of overview some of the topics that we're going to discuss in more detail. But things like, what are our traditions? How does this work? Right? Like, and if you're brand new and you just got married, that's what I mean, brand new, then I think you have an opportunity to set up some really healthy kind of rhythms for you and your new family. But if you've been married for 30 or 35 years, you may have some of this down, but I think I've definitely talked to couples who don't have this down, who they've kind of every year the holidays becomes another stressful event, and whether it's around gifts or budgets or travel or family, or it just can become such a mess. And so we want to encourage and kind of also just kind of discuss some of the things that we've known people to do, and kind of discuss some ways to maybe make the holidays a little bit smoother and actually a time that everybody can enjoy again.
I just love that you're already bringing up topics that seem to come up naturally during this holiday season, which is everything from how much do we spend on the cousins, the aunts and uncles? Do we buy gifts? Whose family are we going to visit? How much time do we spend? Where do we sleep? All this stuff that sometimes just happens naturally, and sometimes is a little bit of a fight, or couples can really lose the good times that they could be sharing because they get caught up or bogged down in the logistics. And so we really want to just kind of start off by saying, do you have a holiday strategy? I know for lots of years we didn't. We just were like, we got this. And then would go to my family of origin or Chad's family of origin, or try to divvy up the travel or the driving. And man, at the end of it, would have several fights and feel stressed out. And so over the course of our marriage, as we've learned how to stay connected, how to check in with each other, our holidays have gotten better. We're starting to basically protect our needs a little bit better. And so that's really what we want to kind of encourage you to do with your partner, is to sit down and have a plan or create a strategy of what you want your holidays to look like. And so we're not just talking about Christmas here. This first episode is launching the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And so for us, we feel like that's really when it starts. The week heading up to Thanksgiving, for most couples, Thanksgiving has already been planned, maybe at the beginning of the year, maybe midsummer, maybe as the fall comes, you start to hear from your family. Who are you visiting? I know in our family, both of our mothers, my mother-in-law and my mother, is like, whose Christmas is it? Whose Thanksgiving is it? If you're like us, you try to, maybe each year, one family gets Thanksgiving, one family gets Christmas, so then you switch it. Maybe you try, if they live in the same town, to hit all of them at the same time. I think there's a movie called Four Christmases that's a really funny, where they have blended families and they have to try to hit all of them at one time. And oh my goodness, it can be so stressful trying to make sure all the bases get covered. And oftentimes I feel like we get stuck doing what we feel obligated to do, and not really doing what we want to do, not really doing the things that we feel are healthy for us as a couple and as individuals. And so that's the thing we really want to emphasize in this particular episode, is how do you stay not only tuned into yourself, but tuned into your partner during the chaos that becomes the holiday season. Whether it's fun or whether it's stressful, it still can just kind of take off without you even having a say in it.
I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, really practically, how do we do that, Angela? And kind of what are the things that you want to share, or I can share, I guess, how we kind of stay tuned in? Because theoretically, I think most people would say, yeah, we should probably have a plan for that, or yeah, we should probably this, or we should probably that. But practically what it looks like, and I'll just share for us what we do. We try to, as far as the holidays, we try to make sure that we have like kind of exit strategies or safety strategies. So if we're going to my family's, Christmas or whatever, we have a plan to say, hey, I don't want to be stuck in the back room the whole Christmas, at my grandma's house. And so Angela will ask to go to Starbucks, or we'll ask to go do something. And we kind of have these code words. It sounds funny, but they're not really code words. They're just kind of like clear, hey, I'm not doing okay with messages.
Tuned in. Yeah. I know we'll make eye contact from across the room and have like this little, are you looking at me? Am I looking at you? This eye contact that says, right now in this moment, are you okay? Or do we need to step outside of the situation, take a breather, reconnect, and go back in? I feel like it's almost like a boxing match or a wrestling match where your partner's on the outside of the ring and you're in there present with your family, and the partner's like, I'm here, but I'm really just ready to tag in if you need space or something like that. Sounds kind of ironic that I'm calling it a fight, but basically the main event, which is that we're going to connect with our family. Now, there are some people who maybe have this a little bit easier or don't necessarily connect with their family. There are some people who feel really at ease going in and out, and some of these logistic things just play themselves out. But I think the important part is to what Chad is saying, do you have an intentional plan to just kind of check in with your partner? A language that we haven't brought up in any of our episodes yet, but I think that it's important to kind of introduce, is almost like what we would call therapeutically a scaling question. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you calm and relaxed and flexible and enjoying your time? That would be like a low 0, 1, 2 area. Or kind of the middle of the road, maybe tired, a little bit stressed, a little bit irritated. Are you at like an 8, 9, level 10, stressed out, overwhelmed, anxious, maybe frustrated? Maybe some family members offended you or some event has happened. And as that scale, as you kind of emotionally or mentally flow through that scale, can you let your partner know along the way? And so Chad and I have this dialogue where I'll be like, how are you? And he's like, 2 or 3, I'm fine. And I'm like, okay, good. 2 or 3 lets me know he's good. I don't need to maybe offer assistance or intervene or do anything like that, or vice versa. If he checks in with me and I'm like, I'm a 6 about to be a 10, he's like, let's go to Starbucks and get a drink, or let's run to Walmart and Oh, we need to go buy another gift. We forgot one. And we'll just jump in the car and leave the scene and reconnect and process things that realign us so that we can enter back in and still kind of maintain composure through the situation. And so really we're saying, can you stay tuned into yourself, making sure that you're present, flexible, enjoying the holiday season. And if you kind of get dysregulated or flustered, or you can start to feel emotions increase on that scale, how do you then share it with your partner, let your partner in? How do you take help from your partner during that? Maybe it's your partner that's driving you crazy and you need to have that conversation.
I was kind of thinking practically how that plays out a lot of times. And I was thinking about pursuers and withdrawers. So, if I go home and it's a holiday season, I feel like I want to sing a song right now, but if it's the holidays, right? If I go home and I'm engaging with my family of origin, it's probably where I first found that I could withdraw and it worked, right? I could pull back and it worked. So if I go home and I'm engaging with my family, extended family, then I have a tendency to fall back into that pattern where I'll pull back. Right. And Angela will definitely notice when I pull back, whether it's, and most of the time around the holidays, it's not even about her. It's that, you know what, this is how I work in this community, in this culture, or in this family of origin with these rules. And so I'll pull back and kind of shut down or kind of go into, my cousins play video games, some of them. So we'll go in and want to play a video game or want to go see a movie or want to go do something, which maybe we can't do as much of that now, but we'll want to go do some of these things. And it's like, man, it's really easy for me to fall back into a pattern where I disengage or where I pull back. And I've got to be able to be aware of that as a withdrawer. I need to be able to go, hey, wait a second. I've got to go align with my family, with my wife, and take the time that it requires to engage with her before we fall into a cycle. Because it's easy for these holiday kind of routines and family of origin routines to really kick off our cycle, whether that's with my family as a withdrawer and kind of pulling back a little bit more sometimes, or that's in Angela's family where there's this heavier, faster pace of engagement that shows up all the time.
I want to address that because I feel like it's so important what Chad is saying, that, and it took us several years of the holiday seasons coming and going to kind of pay attention to where it got bumpy, where we felt disconnected. And there was definitely a moment, a conversation that we returned to, we revisited, where I said, hey, I know that when you said, hey, can I go hang out with my cousins? I was fine with that, but it kind of left me feeling abandoned and alone. And I was like, this isn't even my family of origin. These aren't my immediate relatives. I was still early in our marriage getting to know them. And so I felt like, what am I supposed to do? I didn't have a good plan for me. As the years progressed, 2 or 3 years into it, I started to go, okay, now I understand. I have a plan. Go and hang out with your cousins. I'm going to enjoy some quiet time, read a book, take a bubble bath, just relax, which is not something that I normally get in my family of origin. And so we learned how to really respond to each other in that space. Exactly what Chad is saying. On the flip side of that, my family tends to be the every minute of the holiday has some sort of activity. We're going, we're doing, we're planning, we're cooking, we're eating, we're doing again, we're watching a movie all together, we're playing a game, we're playing cards. Like the pace is, I'll be honest, pretty exhausting. I'm used to it, but bringing someone else into that, which is what I did with Chad, he did a great job kind of keeping up. But for a withdrawer, for someone whose family tends to be at a different pace for the holidays, there's a learning curve. And so there were times when, he could just kind of go, man, do you ever just kind of sit around? I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that like? We had to learn not only what our family of origin patterns were, but we also had to learn how to make sure we were connecting with our spouse during some of that stuff, and the pace of it was really important. So what we're really trying to say is exactly what Chad said. If you're early in, if you're brand new, married, and really have an opportunity to get ahead of this from the get-go, these are things to be mindful of. But for so many of us, we've been married for a while. A lot of the holiday seasons have already hijacked us, and now we're kind of reviewing, going, yes, we want the holiday season to be different. And we're saying it's never too late to actually have a strategy to go, what do we want? What are the areas that we need to address so that we don't feel hijacked, so we actually feel like we can stay connected, be present, respond to each other during this holiday season.
Yeah.
And so over the next few episodes, we're going to do that. But specifically in this one, we're going to start off with our connect point really being make an intentional plan. Your connect point for this episode is to sit down. Probably, we would say, definitely before Thanksgiving, before the whole season comes, but maybe even earlier than that, and say, what do we want this to look like? Whose house are we visiting? Are there things we've missed in the past we want to try to include? How do we have conversations? Not only what's important to you, but what's important to me? How do we both get seen and responded to in that space?
Yeah. Well, and I, as we're sitting here, I'm like, I wish we had started this last January and you could have made a plan then, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Since it's Thanksgiving this week, I just want to say, take the time right now. Take the time maybe on the drive to a relative's house, or if you guys have a moment in the evening to say, whoa, let's really say, how do we do those things that Angela's talking about? How do we connect with one another? How do we intentionally say, how are we going to ask for help as we go through this holiday season? And how will we stay engaged and let each other know that we are engaged, that we are open and available and responsive, and so that we don't get lost in this. This is a time of year that can be so much fun and we can have such a good time. But if we're not careful, we lose each other and fall into old patterns that set up our cycle to kind of wreck our holiday season. And so I think it's really important that we're careful with that.
If it's already the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and you're already tomorrow, have the turkey basted and prepped to cook, it's okay. You can still check in with your partner and say, how are we doing so far? Do we need to adjust anything for the next few days? And what does the Christmas and New Year's season look like? But if you're ahead of this, let's say you're down the road listening to this in the future years and you want to plan ahead, the idea is to say, are we on the same page? Have we made it clear what we want? Angela, I'm the pursuer. Have I clearly laid out for Chad some of the things that I want? Not saying, and this happens often for us and for other couples, well, we've been doing holidays for 9 years now, and you should just know that is important to me, that I like eggnog as soon as it's available in the stores or whatever, which is true.
You get like Halloween eggnog.
I do. I'm like, when can I put it in my tree? When can I put it in my tree? When can I put it in my tree? Yeah. But the idea there is to say, have we taken the time to say, this is what I want, and is it okay with you, and how can I get your support in it? And also, what's important to you, and how can I support you in that area? And so for this first connect point, we really just want you to have a plan, have a strategy, start to consider, if I had an idyllic holiday season, what would it look like? And could it be possible for me and my partner to make a plan for it to actually work? And if we can, even the idea of that scaling question, if we can, as soon as that rumble of anxiety or overwhelmed or anxiousness or irritability or frustration, whatever those emotions are that you're starting to have a better language around, as soon as those start to flare up, or you feel that low grade rumble of, we've talked about this in former series where we go, where your body knows this is the moment where it's gonna the Christmas train is going off the tracks and all the toys are gonna get spilled out.
Oh.
And so what does it look like to go, hey, I need your help. I can feel the anxiety starting to build, and this is just starting to hijack me or take over, and I feel missed and I feel lost, and we can slow down in that moment, reconnect, respond to each other, get the train back on track, moving in the direction that's going to make our relationship stay solid through the holiday season. So we're not spending the entire spring trying to repair everything that went wrong in the previous 6 months.
So a couple of quick things. I just want to say, if this is one of the first times you've heard us or listened to this, we're talking about cycles and other things. We have lots of ways for you to get connected with us. You can listen to other podcasts that we've done. We also have our connecting couples workshops that we do, and we're going to start doing those again in the spring and in January. Actually, we're going to have the first one. So if you want to check that out, or if you'd like to book an intensive with us, we definitely are starting to do some of those too. So we're looking forward to that. We appreciate you checking this out with us, man. We wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving and joyful time of year. But we also just say, hey, we know it can be hard. So if there's something you need, or if there's something we can do to help you out, feel free to reach out to us, give us feedback, ask for what you need, and we'd love to respond to that. So
as always, we love it when you share our podcast with other couples you think might benefit from it. And if you want to rate us or give us a like on any of the platforms, that's always a benefit for our
Greatly
podcast to keep
appreciated.
going. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to connecting with you in our next episode, where we really break down family rules.
all right, thanks.
Thanks.